You've heard this promise before, the battery that changes everything, the end of lithium. You've heard it for years, and you're still charging your phone every night, still watching your EV's range quietly shrink, still wondering why the replacement pack costs almost as much as the car did. So here's the honest question nobody wants to ask out loud. If a battery this promising genuinely exists, why isn't it in your driveway yet? And why do so many of these breakthrough stories quietly disappear a year later? Today, we're not chasing another headline built to grab a click and vanish before anyone can check it. We're going straight into the actual labs, the actual peer-reviewed results, and the actual companies doing this work right now, in 2026, to find out what's genuinely true about aluminum-ion batteries, what's still years away, and how you can tell the difference for yourself the next time a video like this one shows up in your feed. Let's start with the chemistry, because this is where the real story begins, not a press release. A lithium ion carries a single positive charge. An aluminum ion carries 3. That isn't marketing language, it's basic atomic structure, and it means that ion for ion, aluminum has the theoretical potential to move considerably more charge through a battery cell. Researchers have been chasing that number for well over a decade, because on paper, aluminum looked like an obvious upgrade almost from the moment lithium batteries took over the world. But chemistry on paper and chemistry inside a working cell are two very different animals. And that gap is exactly why aluminum-ion technology didn't take over years ago. The breakthrough that actually proved this could work came from Stanford University, led by chemistry professor Hongji Dai, back in 2015. His team built the first aluminum-ion battery that could survive real, repeated use, using a graphite foam cathode paired with an ionic liquid electrolyte, and the results were published in the journal Nature. That's not a rumor. That's peer-reviewed science sitting in a real academic archive right now. Sit with what that team actually demonstrated, because this is the part every hype video skips. What made headlines wasn't raw energy density, it was safety. Dai's team drilled a hole straight through the working battery. They bent it. They folded it in half. It kept operating, and it did not catch fire. Compare that to lithium, where a single manufacturing defect has been enough to trigger recalls covering millions of devices, and in some documented vehicle cases, fires that firefighters could not extinguish with water alone. That fear is not irrational. It's based on real incidents that have made real headlines for years. Aluminum ions, moving through that graphite structure, do not appear to build up the microscopic metallic spikes called dendrites, the ones that puncture the internal separator in a lithium cell and short it out from the inside. That single difference is why researchers keep calling this chemistry inherently safer, not just marginally safer. It helps to understand why lithium won in the first place, because that history explains almost everything about why aluminum has had to fight so hard to catch up. Back in the 1990s, when Sony first commercialized lithium-ion cells, the entire competition came down to one thing. How much energy could you pack into the smallest, lightest possible space for a camcorder or a laptop? Lithium won that race decisively, and every dollar of research funding for the next 3 decades followed that early lead. Aluminum wasn't losing because the chemistry was worse. It was losing because almost nobody was funding it, right up until safety and supply chain concerns became urgent enough to change the calculation. Now here's where the honesty matters most, because this is exactly the part that should make you skeptical rather than excited. The original Stanford cell operated at roughly 2 volts. Lithium-ion batteries operate closer to 3.5 volts. That gap matters enormously, because voltage is directly tied to how much usable energy a battery can deliver for a given size and weight. Professor Dai said this publicly himself, acknowledging that the battery's energy density wasn't yet competitive with lithium and that fundamental research remained. Even Elon Musk weighed in at the time, pointing out that any battery breakthrough claim is meaningless without a clearly stated energy density figure. That was a fair challenge, and it's one the entire aluminum-ion field has spent the past decade trying to answer. This isn't a story about one lab solving everything in 2015 and then going quiet. It's a story about a race that has kept moving, quietly, for 10 years, across several continents, without a single company controlling the narrative. On paper, the theoretical case for aluminum has always looked almost absurd in its favor. Published estimates put aluminum's theoretical charge capacity at roughly 2,980 milliamp hours per gram, versus 200 to 300 for lithium, a gap of nearly 10 times. Real, working batteries never hit that theoretical ceiling, lithium included, so treat this as a boundary on what might eventually be possible, not a promise of what's in a lab today. But it explains why researchers refused to let this chemistry die, even through years when almost nobody was watching. Other teams have approached the problem from a completely different angle. Researcher Ryohei Mori and colleagues at Green Science Alliance have published work on aqueous rechargeable aluminum batteries, meaning the battery uses a water-based electrolyte instead of the ionic liquid used in Stanford's original design. Water-based systems tend to be simpler and cheaper to manufacture at scale, though they've historically struggled with their own stability issues, including earlier aluminum air designs that never made it past the prototype stage due to structural problems. That's an honest complication worth naming, because this field hasn't been a straight line of victories. It's been a decade of partial successes, dead ends, and slow, incremental progress, which is exactly what real engineering usually looks like. The most concrete, independently verified progress right now is coming out of Australia. A company called Graphene Manufacturing Group has been developing what it calls a graphene aluminium-ion battery, in partnership with the University of Queensland, the mining company Rio Tinto, and the Battery Innovation Center in Indiana. In December of 2025, third-party testing at that center reported real, measured numbers on working pouch cells. 58 watt-hours per kilogram when charged over 1 hour, and 26 watt-hours per kilogram when fully charged in about 6 minutes. Those are not projections. Those are independently tested figures on physical cells that exist today. Now, pause, because honesty matters more than hype here. 58 watt-hours per kilogram is useful for certain applications, but sits well below premium lithium cells today. This is not, based on what's actually been published, a battery that immediately obliterates lithium's energy advantage. What it may offer instead is something different, and arguably something a lot of people watching this care about just as much: speed, safety, and a raw material that isn't tied to the same fragile, concentrated supply chain. That distinction matters, and it's worth repeating, because this is exactly where a lot of viral content quietly lies to you. The honest version of this story isn't aluminum beats lithium at everything. It's that aluminum appears to be solving a different set of problems, the ones tied to fire risk, charging speed, and where the raw material actually comes from, while lithium keeps its current lead in pure energy density. Real science rarely hands you a technology that wins on every single axis at once, and when a headline promises exactly that, that's usually your signal to slow down. Here's a fact worth sitting with for a moment, because it hasn't changed in 10 years, and it isn't going to. Aluminum makes up roughly 8% of Earth's crust, making it the most abundant metal on the planet. Lithium, by contrast, remains concentrated in a small handful of countries, and its supply chain has been squeezed repeatedly by exactly the kind of price swings and mining bottlenecks you'd expect from a resource everyone suddenly needs at once. If mass battery production shifts even partially toward a material that genuinely exists almost everywhere, that isn't only a chemistry story. That's a story about who controls the next decade of energy, and it doesn't depend on any single company's stock price or any one CEO's roadmap. Let's talk about what this could mean for cost, because that's usually the part that hits closest to home. GMG has publicly compared its current battery's performance to high-power lithium titanate batteries, a premium lithium chemistry that typically sells for around $1,500 per kilowatt-hour. The company's stated goal is producing comparable performance at a substantially lower cost, specifically because aluminum and graphite are cheaper and more abundant than the materials locked inside premium lithium cells. If that cost advantage holds up as production scales, it becomes one of the more concrete financial arguments in this entire field, separate from any promise about range or lifespan. It's worth asking why a mining company like Rio Tinto would attach its name to any of this. The honest answer is that Rio Tinto is one of the largest aluminum producers on Earth, and a battery chemistry built around aluminum instead of lithium and cobalt plays directly into resources the company already controls. That's not a scandal. It's simply how industrial research funding tends to work, and it's worth knowing so you can weigh that involvement clearly rather than either dismissing it or treating it as proof of anything on its own. There's one more advantage worth naming, because it rarely makes the headlines, even though it matters enormously for anyone thinking about long-term environmental cost. Aluminum can be recycled repeatedly without meaningfully losing quality, and recycling aluminum uses a small fraction of the energy required to refine it from raw ore in the first place. Lithium recycling, by comparison, remains far more chemically complex and, at industrial scale, still less efficient today. If aluminum-ion batteries do reach mass production, the end-of-life story for millions of retired battery packs could look very different from the one we're currently living through with lithium. Take a breath, because this next part is where the timeline gets real. Based on GMG's own published roadmap, the company is targeting customer cell testing during 2026 and small-scale commercial production beginning in 2027. That is not the same thing as this battery appearing in your next car. Scaling a working laboratory cell into millions of manufactured units, tested for automotive safety standards and priced to compete, is one of the hardest problems in industrial engineering, and it has quietly killed more promising battery technologies than it has ever delivered to market. Anyone telling you this is guaranteed, on any exact date, is selling you something. Now here's the part that genuinely matters most, and it's the part almost nobody explains clearly. This technology may not need to win in your phone or your car first to change your life. Grid-scale energy storage, the enormous battery installations utilities use to store solar and wind power for when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing, doesn't actually need the highest possible energy density. What it desperately needs is safety at scale, low material cost, and a battery that can survive enormous numbers of charge cycles without degrading. Because these systems run continuously, year after year, often in extreme heat or cold. That's precisely the profile aluminum-ion research keeps pointing toward. If that trajectory holds, this story may end up being written first in massive storage installations powering neighborhoods and data centers, quietly, long before it ever shows up in a car in your driveway. It's worth putting this in context against the other challengers to lithium, because aluminum isn't the only element researchers have been chasing. Sodium-ion batteries have also made real headlines recently, with some sodium designs reportedly matching key performance benchmarks set by major automotive lithium packs, according to published comparisons. That matters here for one specific reason. It shows this isn't a one-horse race, and it isn't a story that lives or dies with aluminum alone. Multiple elements, multiple labs, multiple countries are independently working to solve the same underlying problem, which is exactly the kind of broad, uncoordinated competition that tends to produce real progress rather than a single company's marketing claim. That broader context is also the best tool you have for protecting yourself the next time one of these videos shows up promising a named car company has already quietly solved everything. Real breakthroughs in this field come with a university name attached, a named lead researcher, a journal citation, or an independently verified test result from a facility like the Battery Innovation Center. If a claim has none of those things, if it only has a confident narrator and no named source you could actually go check yourself, that absence is the answer. It's not proof the technology is fake, it's proof the specific claim you just heard hasn't earned your trust yet. Let's address the elephant in the room directly, because you've almost certainly seen videos, headlines, and forum posts claiming that a specific major automaker is already secretly manufacturing a finished aluminum-ion battery, with a commercial vehicle launch just months away. Based on what can actually be verified through public statements, patents, and independent testing, no major automaker has published research or filings confirming anything close to that. What's genuinely happening and what's verifiable is coming from named universities, an independent testing center in Indiana, and a publicly listed company with a real, dated roadmap. That's a smaller-sounding story than a secret announcement, but it's a far more honest one, and arguably a more hopeful one, because it means this breakthrough doesn't belong to one company's timeline. It belongs to an open, checkable scientific process. So where does that actually leave the honest picture, stripped of the manufactured urgency you've probably seen elsewhere online? The foundational science is real and peer-reviewed, dating back a full decade. The safety advantage has been physically demonstrated, not just theorized. The charging speed shown in real, independently tested cells is genuinely remarkable. The core obstacle, closing the energy density gap with lithium, is a known, specific, solvable engineering problem that named researchers at named institutions are actively working on right now, in public, not a mystery held behind closed doors. That is, frankly, a more interesting story than the fake one, because it means this isn't science fiction waiting on one company. It's a slow, real, ongoing race. And the next verified result could come from any lab on the planet, on any given month, published quietly in a journal most people will never scroll past, long before it ever gets turned into a headline promising you the world overnight. None of that requires you to stop asking questions. The next time someone claims a single company has secretly solved this, ask for the university, the journal, or the independent lab behind it, and that question alone will tell you what you need to know. So the real question was never whether some secret lab already finished this battery in private last year. The real question is which research team closes that remaining energy density gap first, and how many more years of unglamorous, carefully tested, independently verified engineering that honestly takes. That's the part hype channels never mention, because patient, peer-reviewed science doesn't get you views in 30 seconds. But it's the only version of this story that's actually true. Every figure you heard today traces back to a real published study, a real independent testing center, or a real public statement from a named researcher or company, not an unnamed rumor built to look official, and not a product announcement that was never actually made. If that kind of grounded, fact-checked breakdown is more valuable to you than another breathless miracle battery video promising a car company's secret nobody can verify, subscribe now, because next week we're going inside the solid-state battery race, the technology several major automakers are actually betting billions of real dollars on. And we're going to separate what's genuinely close to production from what's still years away, using the exact same standard of evidence you just got here. Drop a comment and tell me which matters more to you personally right now. A battery that charges in 6 minutes today, or one that simply promises to never catch fire in your garage. Tag someone who still believes every miracle battery headline they scroll past without checking it, and let's see what they actually say back. See you in the next one.